Is everything visible? Let's go that way. And post. Posting. Home. Stream manager. All right. Greetings, Ping. Hey guys. This is Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. We have one more day, theoretically, of streaming with terrible sound. My sound system is supposed to, according to Amazon, get here tomorrow by 10 p.m. So this weekend we will set everything up and make sure that it's all functional. And hopefully that fixes all of the sound issues and increases the quality of the video itself. So I have, contrary to what I normally do, I've actually done a little bit of design for our pieces. We've got this piece right here that we put in, or that we made on Wednesday. And so I took this piece and kind of, played around with it a little bit. And I came up with a couple different designs that we could do with two identical pieces, or mostly identical pieces. So this guy is my sketchbook. It's like where I have a bunch of my, designs for all of my furniture and stuff like that. So, I mean, we've got some... Let's see. We've got some just like regular drawings, and here's some designs that I've done. Here's one of them. That's I think that's a fire gate, and that's just like a regular box, and some armor designs for like a shield. So I've got a lot of different designs in here for things that I've made in the past and that I've looked at. These are some more fire screens, some stuff that I've designed. And there's also like a bicycle. I got commissioned to do a bicycle one time. So today's design, I've bookmarked with my pen. We're kind of looking at the different things that we can do with two identical pieces. So I've got ourselves the backing plate, and then if I use two of the same curls, we can kind of design what we're gonna do. And so this is the first design, and I've got a couple more designs that I've got. And the one that I really liked the most was probably this guy right here. So I kind of designed this one sideways, so it kind of looks more like that, right? So I kind of want to move this guy a little bit more to a 90 so that it hangs, or the bird feeder hangs a little bit better. But I think this is the base design that we're going to go with. I've got a couple others. I think they're okay, but I like this one best. So I think this is the one that we're going to go with today. So now that we have a design taken care of, we can kind of blacksmith to the design. So we've got the one section that we'll have to curl out for the design. And then so we're going to be making the second one. So we need two identical pieces of this. And so I've got another section of 8-inch round stock that we're going to make the second half with. So yeah, I've made a little bit of, I've done a little homework and made a couple design decisions, and we'll see what we can do with that. So first things first, we always turn on the forge. Oh, come on. There we go. terrible. I've been out here in a little bit colder. So I've got my heater going over here, and then we've got the forge, and hopefully the two of them together will make it comfortable in here. At least that's the idea. Alright. So today I'm having a little bit of a breathing episode, so I'm probably going to be sitting for a little bit longer today between our heats. I'm doing alright, and I know that I can do the work, but standing up is a little bit more strenuous today, so I'm gonna keep sitting for a while, and I will probably, reserve my standing for when I'm actually working on the anvil. So we'll talk together while I'm sitting, and that way I can kind of see what you guys are talking about, how you're interacting, what you think of the piece so far. Oh, it looks like I'm on the weaker Wi-Fi. Let's see. We're struggling a little bit. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the stream for just a second, switch my Wi-Fi, and then turn us back on. So I will be right back. We have a vehicle, but my partner drives it to work. So when he's not home, I'm kind of stuck here. And so I'm getting a little bit stir crazy. So coming out here is kind of, and talking to you guys has kind of been a lifeline for me. So I'm really happy to be out here and really excited to be streaming with you guys. We are working on our bird feeder hanger. We have one half of the two halves that we are doing. If we can get this half completed today, I will. If I can handle it, I will work on making or cutting out the back plate that we're going to use to screw our bird feeder hanger in place on the wall or the post that we want to put that on. If that does not happen today, like if I get kind of tired, then we will do that on Monday, and that will be our first stream with the new setup. But it should also be a nice buffer in case Amazon and the snow kind of don't cooperate together, and I don't get my piece or my setup until Monday or so. So the idea, or like Amazon says it's coming tomorrow by 10 p.m., but sometimes we get a couple days delay. So hopefully it comes tomorrow, but if it doesn't, we'll have Monday as a padding stream so that I can do the fabrication work to put our bird feeder hanger together. So I'm really looking forward to finishing off this full project. We've got 3 streams planned for it, and I think it's going to look really nice. I'm really excited about this piece. Yeah, so we had a major snowstorm on like Saturday night, Sunday morning, and it snowed all day on Sunday, and so we got like 6 inches of snow, and yeah, we've only got one 4-wheel drive vehicle. Like the entire area is kind of shut down, and it's been cold enough that the snow is actually sticking around. Normally it melts after like a day or two, because I'm kind of like southern central US, and so we don't keep the snow for very long. But this week, for some reason, it's just been really cold and the snow hasn't melted. And so now we're getting more snow, and they're predicting about 2 inches. So hopefully this weekend we can dig ourselves out, and then I can get out. The roads out here are beautiful, but it's just our driveway, and my partner has just been incredibly busy at work, so he hasn't gotten a chance to dig me out. But we're going okay. Alrighty. Let's see, about... Okay. So as always, the first thing that we're going to do is square off this piece of round stock. Get ourselves a nice 90-degree angle to work with. Oh, looks like I've let myself move a little bit. Alright, let's get that 90-degree angle in there. Correct that and fix it. Alright. We'll go on all 4 sides, that way we can get nice flats going. Alright, so I've got a decent square going on there, like profile on there. It looks like it's a little bit more of a parallelogram as opposed to a square. So on our next heat, we'll kind of squish in on these 2 corners to kind of correct that, so that we've got 4 90s instead of what looks like a 2 60s and a 30.
I love getting packages in the mail because it's almost like Christmas, right? When you get the package in the mail, you just get to tear it all open. It's just like when you're a kid on Christmas or your birthday, opening all your presents, and then you get to see what's inside. And I mean, when you order things, you kind of know what's inside, but I still get a satisfaction from just like ripping open the boxes and you know, getting into the bubble wrap and stuff. It's just one of those little joys. Glad we could provide some relief from being snowbound. Yeah, I mean, you guys and my guild mates in my MMOs have kind of been keeping me from going crazy because I've just been stuck in the house for like, you know, an entire week, and it's just driving me nuts. And it's not even like being at home, because I've been home for a lot longer than just a week. I think that the idea of just not being able to leave if I wanted to, I think that's what's been driving me nuts. Like, because I mean, there have been times where I've stayed at home for several weeks where I just never didn't need to go out, but I always had the opportunity to go out if I did need to, and that's what's really bothersome. It's like if I wanted to, I couldn't, because I just my truck only has the rear-wheel drive, and we just have so much snow that the tires would just spin on me. Yeah, not having the option. That is the worst part. Like I said, you know, I've been at home, like when I had COVID the first time, I was at home for like 3 months, and I did not leave the house, you know, and I mean, a lot of people, you know, during COVID, they didn't leave for like months at a time, you know, when we were in the lockdown, but I could always choose to leave if I wanted to. I had a vehicle, it functioned, it had gas. But right now, I have a vehicle, it functions, I have gas, but I can't get up my driveway. So, yeah, hopefully we can dig ourselves out this weekend, and we'll get out there and, you know, take a walk in like the mall or something. That way I can, you know, get out and stretch my legs a bit. Out of the forge, and we are going to be correcting that angle. Alright. Much better. We're starting to get that 90 in there, and that's exactly what we want to see. From here, once we have that 90, we're going to isolate out the little nub, our decorative nub. Nice and started out, and so on our other piece that we were working with, we've got a little bit of that going. We've got a nice section that we can isolate out, and we will be able to kind of squish that in a little bit to make that piece identical. So we're trying to make a second one of these guys. So if we compare it the whole way through, we should get a very similar, you know, twin piece. Are a little bit stiff, but we're getting there. It's getting a lot warmer in here now that the forge is going. days been? Have you, are you working or are you hanging out at home? I have been hanging out in the computer room and looking for some sound clips. My microphone has an internal recorder, and I've been looking for all of the little clips from the previous streams so I can edit those together and redub my videos. Yesterday I posted a whole bunch of archived streams over on my YouTube channel. The entire month of December is now up for you guys to look through. If you get a wild hair, or want to look up the answer to a question that I already answered. I started a second playlist for January, and we will put all of our videos and our streams from this month in there as the raw archive. I have 3 videos that I need to post, and I will be doing that in the next couple days. 2 of them are a condensed version of our bottle opener videos, streams that we did. I've got the straight bottle opener design and also the round bottle opener design. And then I also have a tutorial video for the corkscrew that we did. So that's coming, and I'm really looking forward to being able to post those for you guys. It's a much more condensed tutorial-like version, or an overview of what we've done, so that you don't have to watch through all of the waiting for the metal to get heated up again. You can just get to the meat of the issue and just watch the condensed version. Hooked up to electrical to my greenhouse and watched some Yankee acts. And me. Yeah, I was watching Yankee earlier today. It looked like he was working on handles for the axes. And he was talking about how he had cut a few pieces of wood from a more green tree, it sounded like. And so there was a little bit of wetness inside. And so he was talking about how he might have to use some of the older wood that he had laying around in the shop. And that's kind of where I was able to watch actively. I left his stream on for a couple, like an hour or so beyond that, but I was kind of more lurking. At that point, I wasn't able to actively watch because I was still searching for that audio. And there was one video that I just could not find the audio for. And I'm kind of disappointed about it, and I'm not entirely sure how it happened, but I must not have hit the record button. So a couple of little areas in one video, and then Monday's video, for some reason I just couldn't find the audio. So I'll clean up the audio as much as I possibly can before I post it, but it's still gonna be a little meh on the audio. So electrical to your greenhouse. So as far as the greenhouse, why do you need the electrical? Is it for, are you putting heaters or lights in there? Or is it more like do you have like pruning shears or something that you plug in? Or maybe music. I mean, I've heard that plants like music. Are you playing music for your plants in your greenhouse? That actually might be fun. I mean, I'm looking forward to my new setup, because I'm gonna be able to pump some music into my headphones. Right now, I haven't been using a lot of music because of copyright stuff, but so I can't have my music playing out loud in the shop, but I can have it in my ears. So we'll see if I can do that, or it might be a little bit too distracting for me. When I'm listening to the music, sometimes I'll sing along or dance, and so I don't know. We'll see what happens. 10 minutes until my ad break. So we're continuing to isolate out the decorative bit. And as we're going, we're trying to kind of keep that width about the same so it doesn't grow too fast. And it's looking pretty good. I think it might be a little bit longer than I was originally going for, but I think that the fact that it's longer is going to be good, because then when we come back to round this out, we will end up losing just a little bit of that length on the nub there. And so I think it's going to turn out pretty similarly. It looks like I've got a good neck going on there. Very similar, so I need to thin out this section here so that they match a little bit better. And yeah, I think that's what we're going to be doing the next heat. All right, so I live in New Hampshire, so I might need some heat at night in the spring, but also run a fan so I can use it in the summer too. Grow lights are also helpful for cloudy days. That is a great idea. I mean, I know for a fact that I would definitely need a heater in a greenhouse if I wanted to grow year round. And I mean, that's really the way that you get the most, if you're growing for actually, sustenance and feeding yourself and your family, I mean, you definitely would have to grow all year. Or you just get like these little amounts of food. So yeah, I get that. I get why you would want to do that. And then fans so that it's not unbearable working out there in the summer. Yeah. Hello. Mahalo. Hello. Welcome to the stream. We are excited and happy to see you today. We are blacksmithing a bird feeder hanger. I've got a few designs that we were looking at, and we've picked one out. So we are currently making a second half of it. We've got two decorative curves that we are going to be making, and they are scrolls. And they have decorative bits on the end, and so we are making our second one today. Controlling the greenhouse conditions is key to a productive greenhouse. Plus, I'm adding an additional camera. That makes a lot of sense. So, do you stream out in your greenhouse when you're working out there? Is that, because I mean, that would be really entertaining. I mean, I really don't know a lot about how food grows or like plants and stuff like that. I've tried to grow some plants, and I watched my mom with like her indoor house plants, but like I'm not really like familiar with how to get them to grow for production. So that would be interesting to watch. It looks like we've got about enough time for one more heat before the commercial break. We've got about 3.5 minutes, and I think that's going to be a good time. That it should be a good time to, work on the anvil.
right, and we're going to continue flattening that back and drawing out that material while we've got a little bit of extra heat. Keep cleaning our workspace. So have a camera out there and adding one outside to watch birds can stream on both. That is so cool. Ornithology is a very interesting science in like bird watching. There are so many different birds out there and people are always discovering new ones. And yeah, that's really, really fun. Like I said, I've got some hummingbirds that come out here in the spring and they drink the nectar out of some flowering bushes that we have out in the front. And it's always really fun to watch them. And my cat loves it too. We've got this window out right next to the bushes. And my cat just like sits on this coffee table that we have sitting up next to the window. And just kind of like, he watches the birds. And every once in a while, he'll like lunge at the window and it'll bop him in the nose. And he's just like, what happened? Why didn't I catch the bird? So he's pretty adorable. I'll post some pictures of him on my Instagram so you guys can see him in a couple days. So yeah, I've kind of been trying to develop my Instagram and my Facebook a little bit. Give you guys something interesting to look at. I'm trying to post something every day. Yesterday I missed on Instagram, but I've only had it for 3 days, so I think that's all right. Yesterday I focused mostly on YouTube and putting up that archive. So I'm hoping that that's helpful. At least it'll be helpful for me because then I'll have, so I download all my streams from Twitch so that I can edit them and stuff, but my hard drive is getting really, really full. So if I put the archive on the YouTubes, then I can download my YouTube videos anytime I need to edit or use the footage for edits. And so that's freeing up a lot of my disk space. So I should be able to do a little bit more editing for tutorial videos and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty much looking forward to that. It's kind of, you know, a little bit iffy. I'm not amazingly familiar with editing, but I do enjoy like being able to post the videos for you guys. I've got, it looks like I had 10 subscribers last I checked, and I had like over 100 views on my first video, the leaf tutorial. So you guys are out there looking at all the videos, and the community that we're building is amazing. And hopefully, you know, it all works together and we can find each other and, you know, talk about blacksmithing and celebrate craft and the, you know, classic ways of living and, you know, dyeing crafts and woodworking and all of that stuff together. So I'm really excited. Looks like I've got ads going, and so we'll be ready for another heat in about a minute. I think the ads are almost done right now, but we'll wait just a little bit longer before we do that heat.
I'm a tech guy, but I love this stuff. I am so illiterate when it comes to tech stuff. Like, my partner was like talking about the cameras that we're going to use for the new setup that we've got going, and they are SLR cameras, and I'm just kind of like, I understand the concept behind SLR cameras and stuff like that, because I did take photography class in college, but the SLRs that I used were completely manual, so you had like to hand wind them with the little lever, and they took black and white photos, and we had to, in the class, we had to develop them by hand with, like, you know, the chemicals in the dark room and stuff. And I'm just like, wow, these like digital cameras, you can like see what you're, you know, the picture and everything with like the little screen on them. And I'm just like a little bit overwhelmed by it. So hopefully, you know, I'll be able to finagle it and make it work. I've got the whole manual focus down, but yeah, it's going to be a challenge for me, and I'm 100% not, you know, completely comfortable with like social media and computers and like pulling down footage and all of that stuff. I'm doing my best, and I'm learning quite a lot. I think I'm doing a lot better than I was when I first started doing it, but yeah, it's a process. So, yeah. Photography class was so much fun when I was in college, but I haven't really done a lot with photos since. And the technology has kind of like jumped by leaps and bounds over the last, you know, like 10 years. So I'm just kind of wowed by the fact that you can, you know, use a digital SLR to shoot in like 4K picture and stuff. So my new setup will only do 2K, but I think we're going to set them to high def, which is 1080p. And at least that's what my partner says is going to be the best product for us. So we shall see how that goes. I need to stop fussing with that. So we are continuing the straightening of all of this round stock. As we go, we're trying to straighten any curves that are developing to get that commonality with our first one that we've got. And as we keep going, we're going to continue to compare the two pieces. I think we're coming along really nicely. Like I said, we have a little bit of extra length here, so I'm not sure if I'm going to bring the shelf back a little bit further, or if we are going to end up losing a little bit of that, and we will lose a little bit from rounding that out. We're gaining a little bit of a length in there, but not as much as we need, so we're going to have to keep on keeping on. Patience is a virtue when it comes to blacksmithing. On Twitch, that is true for 1080p. More is better for YouTube, but do start with 1080p. Yeah, I don't think I can stream any higher quality than 1080p on Twitch, but I have memory cards for the SLRs that will be able to upscale, or I guess I will be shooting in higher resolution, and the switcher box should be downscaling it a little bit for Twitch. So hopefully we'll be able to get the full high definition on or for YouTube, and hopefully we won't have to scale it down too badly. But yeah, the quality should definitely increase once I get my new setup going. I've got, like I said, I've got two DSLR cameras. One's going to be for close-up at the anvil, and one's going to be the wide shot that I've got going right now, and they will go directly into a switch box, and then the switch box will go into the laptop, and I will be able to kind of switch the view with just a button press, and that's pretty exciting because I can record directly to the camera's memory cards, and then we'll stream through OBS, and it will treat both of them as a single webcam. So that is the goal and the idea behind the setup. So, and then I will be able to use my microphone system directly with the cameras. So that will improve greatly the sound quality as well as the picture quality for you guys. So once we get once we get the new setup taken care of, the microphones have an automatic setting for reducing ambient noise. So that's what I've been waiting for the tongs that the viewer choice tongs project that we were going to do. The shot press is incredibly loud, so the sound, or with the microphone being able to dampen that ambient noise, you guys will still be able to hear me speaking when I'm, interacting and answering questions, and when I'm, talking about what I'm actually doing, and that will be really exciting. I think there are still a couple streams up on the VODs, or like the history of the Twitch channel where I was using the press before I had the microphone set up, and you just could not hear me speaking at all until like the air compressor was off. So looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I really want to increase the quality so that you guys, can learn a little bit more, see a little bit better, and I've got a little bit higher quality video that I can record, so that I can edit. I struggle a lot with saying and ah and like, and and well, yeah, and things like that. So it's going to be a lot easier for me to condense and create full sentences instead of sentence fragments when I have two different views, because then if I'm struggling getting my sentences out, then I can flip the camera and kind of edit my sentences together. So, even if it has to be word by word, so that it is less distracting, my ums and ahs. I'm getting better, maybe. I'm trying to get better, but yeah. As I completely say and yeah and ah while I'm talking about this. I feel like I'm getting a little bit more comfortable talking to you guys and treating my camera as, another person. But it is still, there's still a bit of me feeling like I need to perform and struggling with getting my words out. All right. Let's see. We're starting to make really good progress on this piece. So we just got to keep on keeping on. Every heat works a little bit closer towards the whole piece. So it's starting to get a lot warmer feeling in here. I still have a little bit of a runny nose from it being so cold from the very beginning, but I can definitely feel the heat from the forge starting to, reach my legs, which is that's very good. It like the legs are always the coldest part because I guess it would be better if I wore like leggings under my jeans, but like I always get a little bit worried about wearing leggings because a lot of them are made of synthetics. So if I get, a piece of scale that bounces onto my pants, it'll just bounce right out because I've got cotton pants on, cotton jeans on. But if I had, sometimes if it just sticks there in like a wrinkle or something like that, it'll start burning a hole through my pants. And then like if I'm wearing synthetic leggings underneath, then that becomes a problem because they start melting and they'll melt to your legs. So then you have to be really, really careful that you don't let that happen. So my legs get a little bit cold in the winter time because I'm not wearing the synthetics. Yeah. It was insane trying to, like this year, I had to get a new hoodie because my hoodie from previous years had started to develop holes from just like use. I had holes in the elbows of my hoodie from the last couple years. And so I went to look to get a 100% cotton one. And my last one was like a Hanes 100% cotton one from Walmart, and I went to Walmart to look to get another one, and I couldn't find anything that was less than 40% cotton and like 60% synthetic. And so I ended up spending so much time looking for the most cotton on a garment that I could find, and it's just like the longer I looked, the more like the harder it was. I felt like I ended up settling for this hoodie that I have currently, but it's only 60%. No, it's 70% cotton. So I still have to be careful with even my the hoodie that I have on. So when I'm not wearing my outer jacket, my coat, I definitely have to use my apron a lot more because the apron, all of the scale will just jump right off. But if it gets onto my sweatshirt, it'll melt it, and I can't have that. So Yeah, you got to be really careful with what types of what types of clothing that you're wearing when you're blacksmithing. Welding as well. When I was building my press, I had an accident where a piece of welding wire, like the flux core wire that I was using when I was welding, it fell off of the nozzle from the gun, and it landed in a crease inside of, or like in my pants, and it burned a hole in my pants, through the pants and into my leg. And I got a 3rd-degree burn, so I had to tend to that, and that was not a fun time, not at all. So, yeah, you got to be really, really careful with that when you're, working with hot materials, glass, metal, welding, blacksmithing, that sort of thing. Even with your jewelry, if you're doing like silversmithing work, we used to use synthetic like overcoats, and there were so many of them that had like melted burns in them. But it's kind of a hazard of the job. Looks like we got a little ways to go on this one, but we are making good progress. I'm pretty happy with that. We are almost at an hour mark, and so it looks like we're most likely going to get this guy finished within the amount of time that I have set aside for streaming today. So I'm really happy with that. It's going to work out for us. So it looks like Monday we're going to start on the fabrication. So we're going to do a little bit of a welding demonstration. And then we are going to do a little bit of wrapping. Maybe some drilling as well. Because we've got to drill the holes into the plate so that we can affix it to the post. Yeah, welding burns do really hurt a lot. So it's kind of like, it was my own fault, really, for, burning myself, because I really should have been paying attention to where my apron was laying, but I had my apron like laying down on this leg, and my other leg was completely exposed, and if I had just taken the time to look down and see that it was exposed, I could have just pulled my apron over to my other leg, and then I wouldn't have gotten burned in the first place. So it's kind of like, you got to keep safety on the front of your mind. There's a point at which, you got to just do it, safety or not. But you do need to keep safety on the brain as you're doing this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's why I wear the apron. I have, my steel toe boots. We've got our welding gloves. I also have welding jackets that I'll put on over top of my clothes so that no welding wire or anything will get down on my arms and stuff. I have a hole in my jacket, in the arm of my jacket, because I didn't wear it. So it's just, keeping safety in the front of your mind is incredibly important. we've got plenty of time. We've got some good fast heats going. It's really exciting. We'll get a good amount of this project done today. And as we lose our heat, we start kind of trying to finesse our pieces. Take out any curves that we don't want, so we can make it easier for us to continue to go. So I'm pretty happy with what we've got there. It looks like we're a little thin on this side. So I think our next heat, we're going to start rounding out this area. We're going to lose a little bit of length and increase our width a little bit. Because like I said, this guy is the tip is a little bit wider than this one. So I think that's going to do us really well. We are going to thicken that point out as we shorten out this little nub that we've got going. Once we are happy with this nub, then we'll flip it around and work on the other side. I'm really happy with that. We're doing really well. So yeah, our piece seems to be working out really well. And I'm really excited because when I was working on the first half of this piece, I was kind of like feeling it out, and I didn't really have a good solid idea in my mind of what I was trying to do. So when that happens, it tends to take me a lot longer to create a piece because I'm kind of like having to sit there and assess the piece critically and, you know, kind of design as I'm going. So it's really a relief to be able to, you know, look at the piece that I've already got. And it, like I said, it allows me to really speed up the process because I know exactly what hammer blows I did for the first one, and I can replicate that really well on the second one. And I get to compare and contrast the two, and that just makes things so much easier, so much faster. So it's always a lot easier for the second half of, or like the second one and the subsequent pieces for each design. And, you know, that is, it's kind of another reason why I always tell people, like, when you're working on technique and like technical skill, to make a piece, design it, and then just make 100 of them, because every one, it's going to get better, it's going to get faster, and it's going to become muscle memory. You're not going to have to really think about designing it. You're not going to have to think as much about, you know, making the metal do what you want it to do. You'll just have that muscle memory and just be able to do it automatically. And that's kind of like how you turn your manufacturing, or I mean your hand-forged blacksmithing closer to a more manufactured speed. So it's like how, you know, for your first nail, it's going to take you, you know, half an hour or so, but subsequent nails, you're just going to get faster and faster and faster. And then, I mean, once you get it down, you can do a nail in like a minute or 30 seconds, a nail of heat. And that's always, that's where you want to get to. You just want to be able to like know where your hammer is going to hit every time you bring that hammer down. You know exactly what it's going to do, and it does exactly what you want it to do. And so that is the point at which you want to get to with your blacksmithing. So we've got about 2 minutes until our next commercial break. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to wait until that commercial break is over for our next heat. And then we'll just kind of talk about, what we're doing and, anything like any interaction, any questions I can answer for you, things like that. And then we will wait until the commercial break is over before we continue blacksmithing. I heard a noise out there, and I was kind of looking to see maybe if my partner was home. It does not look like he's home today, or yet. So, he'll be home later on. I want to hit the glowing metal, then I will work on shaping soonish. Yeah, I mean, getting comfortable with hitting the glowing metal and like learning how much of a glow that you're looking for is also, I mean, that's just as important as getting that muscle memory for your hammer blows. So you're looking for like a bright yellow glow, and a bright yellow, and then as it fades through orange, or like the oranges, you want to stop at about a cherry, or at like just like a dull red, and then if you're doing a little bit more, straightening out and a little bit more of the finesse work, you can work a little bit through the black heats. But if you're really trying to move your metal, you want to keep it in the upper yellows to orange range. And each of those colors actually has a specific temperature that is associated with it. So you can tell the temperature of your steel by looking at what color it is. And that's an important skill to have, especially if you're doing things like tools and sharps, because you want to make sure that you know what color, or like you know what the temperature is when you are tempering them and when you are hardening that steel. So that's like the color is really what you look for, because it's harder to get a exact heat when you're using a forge as opposed to a kiln or a thermometer. And it's hard to get some of the thermometers that are for hot heats. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of intimidating too. When you first look at that glowing steel, you're kind of like, oh wow, that's so hot, and if I hit it, what'll happen to it? Is it molten? It's kind of like you got to get that feel for what that material is going to do. So I mean, a good taper is going to be your best friend. You can just like start out by trying to turn that steel from that block of parallel bar into like a taper, like like an angled taper. So, I mean, that's probably going to be my, my recommended first project if you're still trying to get used to the the temperature and the heat and the feel of actually hitting that metal. And then there's also the blacksmith's crosses. Those are really nice. So you take a bar of just black steel and you cut it off, and then you kind of cut it in half like a hot dog as opposed to a hamburger. So you just kind of cut it at about halfway down the steel, and then you turn it upside down and then turn and cut it at a perpendicular, so you've got a cross going. So you've got one slice that's horizontal and one slice that's vertical. And so then you put it in the forge and you kind of open those up. And that's a really good beginner project. Cool. If you could get a poster of that, it would look cool on one of your walls and a good reference. Yeah, there are a few posters that are on, they're poster designs, and you can get them on blacksmithing websites and stuff like that. I think there's one, or there's a Farrier Supply, and I think they've got a couple color charts that you can buy, and you can order those. I kind of am a little bit leery about making my own for people to print out, because the color specific, or the specific color is so important that if your color printer is not completely well aligned, it's not going to be the exact color, and so you're not going to get the exact temperatures that you really need. So I think a professional printer is probably a better bet. Or maybe if you were to if you have a computer out in your shop or whatever, you can kind of look that up. Or maybe it's just you look it up in your office and then you come out and you look at it again, or you kind of remember it. But yeah, it's the color chart. It's something that I studied for quite a while. I've kind of got a feel for it now, so I don't need the exact reference every time anymore. But I mean, when I'm doing sharps, I definitely always go back and re-look at it and just make sure that I remember it accurately. So the process that I'm currently doing is called upsetting. And what this is it's hammering the material back on top of itself. And so it kind of thickens it and shortens it. And that's kind of what we're looking to do. And we'll do this for a couple more heats to get that good and in there. But if you really start looking, we're really starting to get that a very similar style there. We're starting to shrink that up, and it's really starting to look very similarly. And I'm really happy with what we've got right now. Oh, wow. Hello. Thank you, Raiders. Thank you, Yankee, for raiding us. It looks like Ping has already gotten a shout out for you guys. Welcome in, Raiders. Thank you for joining us. We are streaming blacksmithing right now what we are doing is we are making a bird feeder hanger. So on Wednesday, we made this piece right here, and this is half of our bird feeder hanger. So we're making a second one of these guys today. And I actually was able to do a little bit of planning for once in my life. And I kind of drew out some designs for this bird feeder hanger. I've got about 8 different designs that we're doing with. We are working on some scrolls. And we've got like little decorative sections, and we're going to weld those onto a plate so that we can screw or nail this piece into a wall or a post. So right now, the design that I chose is this design right here. So we've got one of these guys already made, and we are working on making a second one. So the design goes like this. So we are very excited to make that piece. It's going very well. Hello, welcome in, Raiders. I'm so excited to see you guys. What did Yankee do today? I was watching Yankee earlier today while he was doing handles. He was talking about how his some of the pieces that he had cut out were a little bit wet, and we were deciding, what pieces of wood that we were going to work with today. But that was a couple hours ago, probably 3 hours ago. Unfortunately, the audio is not working much better. I have according to Amazon, I will have a solution for the audio by 10 p.m. tomorrow, and so we will set that up this weekend, and Monday's stream should have beautiful audio and beautiful video. We are going from my cell phone to 2 beautiful DSLR high-definition cameras sitting on a switcher board. So I will be able to switch between the anvil cam and the wide shot. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. But yeah, we are definitely looking forward to that. So we had planned to do a set of scrolling tongs this week, and the reason that I opted not to do that this week is because we don't have the good sound. So the press is incredibly loud, and we're going to use the press for the tongs. So we kind of switched our projects. So next week we will start the tongs, and we will have the good audio that can suppress the ambient noise of the air compressor and the the press. So you should still be able to hear me as I explain what we're doing, and I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see. All right, so what we are doing right now is we are upsetting our piece. And upsetting is a process of hammering back on top of the metal itself to kind of thicken it. So we are hammering the end of our material to kind of make it a little bit shorter and a little bit fatter. And in order to do that, we are hammering on the side of our anvil instead of the top. And we're kind of trying to finesse that just a little bit, but we're kind of trying to round out the little nub on the end of the scroll. So we've got ourselves a nice little round section that's very much in common with the first piece that we made. So we want these 2 pieces to be identical. So once we've got this guy, that's around so that we can kind of compare and contrast the two, it makes this piece go a lot faster. So I'm really happy with what we've got going on with these two tips, and it looks like they're very similar in shape on both the X and Y axes. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip this guy around, and we're going to start working on the other side. So if you can see, we've got both sides. We've got both sides going on this piece, and we're going to make this guy exactly the same. So they're going to mirror each other. Where did my tongs go? Looking for a different set of tongs, one that'll work a little bit better. Oh, there they are. I found them. These tongs will work better from this side. So we'll put these tongs away and set up our anvil again so that we can work on the other side. Okay. Hello again, Blacksmith Pop. Making half pennies. Yeah, kinda. I know that there's actually a proper term for that little nub on the end of a scroll, but for whatever reason, I just can't quite remember what they're called. So can you see the glow? On camera, they looked almost the same. Yeah, they do look almost the same. I'm really excited about that. And I mean, part of that is because when we first started streaming, I was a little bit rusty, but throughout the previous streams, I've kind of been building up my my technical skills again. I was a little bit rusty, so starting off with the leaves and the hooks and the bottle openers, that kind of, I was brushing up on my technical skills so that it makes it a lot easier when, you remember what you're doing with the hand forging to be able to make more identical pieces. So yeah, it's very, very exciting. So when we have both of our pieces done, what we're going to do is we're going to start doing the actual scroll itself. So we're going to curve both pieces on the horn of the anvil so that we can complete the design. And then we are going to kind of, after we're done with the curves, then we will quench those out on the quench bucket, and we'll kind of move them around so that we can see what the best angle to put them together will be. And then once we find a design that we're happy with, what we're going to do is we're going to take it over to the welder, and we will weld those two pieces together so that they're one piece. And then we'll have to make ourselves a backing plate, and we'll weld the two pieces onto the backing plate. But before we weld them to the backing plate, we're going to wrap over top of that weld to kind of hide it and make it look a little bit more classy and hand forged. So we will take a round bar and we'll kind of wrap that around there. From experience, human eyes are much better at picking up the subtle glow of cooling but still hot metal than cameras, but also depends on the overhead lighting. Yes, it is incredibly difficult for the cameras to pick up the exact color of the material. Like, the material as I'm bringing it out, it is a little bit less bright than the cameras are picking up. The cameras are a lot better at picking up the light than I guess our eyes are a little bit better at picking up the differentials between the higher, brighter lights. It's kind of like when you go outside to take a picture with your cell phone of the moon. You know, it's like you see the big giant red moon, you know, up in the sky, and you want to take a picture of it, and you take your cell phone out there and you take your picture, and you look at what's on the screen, and it's just like this little red or this little white dot. And I mean, it's kind of the hazards of working with the limitations of the sensors on those cameras. There are certain filters that you can put on lenses that help that a little bit, but it's still very difficult to get that true color. And that is why I recommend kind of like looking up a chart on your own and having it printed out, or ordering one from like a blacksmith supply website, because the colors, when you print them out, or when the professional printers print them out, they can get like the minute color variation, and when you're comparing the metal with the color on the chart, it's a lot closer. I got a hole in my lip. So I am so glad that you guys have joined us today. If you have any questions about blacksmithing or me, or, you know, just what we are doing today, feel free. I am always happy to answer questions about just about anything. There are no wrong questions. There are a few that I might not answer, but, you know, like the personal ones. But yeah, you're always welcome to ask. Ooh. Pans are getting a little bit cold again. So it's 32 degrees today in the shop. And so I've got a little space heater over here, and I've got the forge. And the heat is, you know, it's kind of getting in little sections, but I kind of have poor circulation, so my hands get a little cold sometimes. How are you joining up the scrolls? Wrap, weld, rivets, something else. Okay, so my plan is to weld the two scrolls together, and then I would like to wrap a piece of round stock around that weld to kind of hide it. I find for me that if I weld the pieces together, it creates a much more solid and secure join than if I were to just wrap around. And then I really like the wrap look a little bit better than a rivet. So we are going to weld and then wrap for this piece. And then to join the scrolls onto the plate, we're just going to weld those on. Unfortunately, because of the way that the surface functions, you're still, on the perpendicular join, you're still going to see the little spot welds from when I weld the scrolls onto the backing plate, but we can definitely cover up the welds from that join. I hope that is a good enough explanation. Sometimes I get a little bit tongue-tied. Ooh, it's nice and warm over here.
All right, so we are going to flatten out the round stock that we are using so that we don't end up twisting our pieces. So we start on securely on that flat that we've already created, and we're kind of sliding it back without twisting our wrist to kind of give us a nice flat surface to start our work with. And we are forging on all 4 surfaces, so that way we start getting nice 90-degree angles on there. And we make sure it's a lot less easy to, roll that. So I think that we've got a pretty decent square going on there. I'm pretty happy with that. We even have more of a square and less of a parallelogram. I have a tendency when I'm starting this to accidentally, give myself 2 60s and 2 30-degree angles on my parallelogram. But we're pretty close to 90 there. I'm pretty happy with that. I've seen a wrap done with flattened copper water pipe. That looked pretty good. Yeah, so I've got an example of what I'm kind of talking about. Let me grab it real fast. So this is a towel holder that I made, and I kind of did a wrap on this end here. So this is a piece of square bar that I kind of, angled off a little bit, and we wrapped it around there, and that's kind of what a little bit closer to what I'm talking about. This used to be, well, I guess this was a square. It started as square bar. I have some thinner round bar that we're going to try and do. So in order to start this, we actually started on the post vise. So what we do is we kind of take the end of that and kind of squish the end onto the bar, and then we can wrap that around. It makes it a lot easier to do that. Yeah, so that is the goal. I'm a little bit rusty at a lot of the blacksmithing techniques. That one's a little bit more challenging because you have to, keep that wrap hot and work the post vise at the same time. So it might take me a little bit of jostling around to make that happen, but I'm definitely, looking forward to, reminding myself how to do that. Right now, the plan is to do that on Monday, and that finishing of that fabrication is going to be our first stream with the new setup. And I'm kind of leaving a little bit of leeway into that because in case something goes a little bit funky with my new setup, it won't be like the very beginning of a brand new project where we're a little bit more intermittent. That way, you've got the bulk of the project that you guys have gotten to watch. Where do I source the metal for my projects? That is an amazing question. One that I absolutely, love answering. So, we actually have a steel supply business, and I live within driving distance of St. Louis, Missouri, and there is a steel supply company called Shapiro Steel. They do
they do a lot of cold roll. They'll do flat stock. They do sheet, bar, etc. So all I have to do is drive into St. Louis and go in there, and the guys there are amazing. They're helpful. They're willing to carry things out for me, cut things. I can buy any stock that I want, except for tool steel. They do not specialize in tool steel. I have to order that stuff online. But for the majority of my stuff, because it is cold or hot rolled, I usually do hot rolled because it's a little bit easier to work with and it's a little bit cheaper. But yeah, I go for most of my architectural steel needs. I go up to Shapiro's Steel or Shapiro Supply. I've also seen a blacksmith display where they had tied an iron bar wraps into knots as if it was a cord. Yeah, I've done that too. I have I do a lot of demonstrations. I have done a lot of demonstrations. Sometimes my demos are for blacksmiths, obviously. I do some for Boy Scouts. I've also done a lot of demos for medieval reenactors. And one of the demos I did was I made a rapier sword. And for the handle, rapiers have very elaborate cages around the handle so that they can kind of protect your hand. And the cage that I made for my demo piece was 2 square knots that kind of developed a cage over top of the handle. So we have totally done knots before. I usually start with much skinnier stock than I have currently in the shop, but sometime throughout the year, I can definitely do some knots for you guys. That would be a lot of fun. So mostly sourcing new stock, not scrap. Okay, yes, so I specifically will go and buy new stock. And the reason I buy new stock is because if you're working with rusty metal, as you heat that metal up, any rust that's developed on the piece will start coming off. So it'll just kind of slake off. And if it'll start in the forge, but as you bring it out onto the anvil and you hammer that, then the rust will start popping off and flying in random directions. And it hurts a lot when you get hit in the hand or in the head with a piece of forge hot rust. We call that scale. And scale develops within the forge, even on new material. And so you've got to keep your anvil face clean of that so that you're not having scale fly up. I've burned myself a few times last week, so I don't know if you guys can see that because I'm backlit, but there's a burn right here from scale hitting me in the finger, and it's not pleasant. So I try as much as possible to use new stock, but I mean, it's kind of like what you have is what you have. You can use rusty stock, it's possible. You can do it. It's a lot safer and a lot easier to go with new stock. That's what a wire wheel is for. I mean, yeah, you can definitely, you get a lot of rust off with your wire wheel, or a bench grinder, or what have you. But I mean, that's extra time to prepare your metal that I could be using to forge it. So like I said, I mean, it's kind of like what is available to you versus, saving time, or, what you want to spend your time on. Just a hand wire brush is pretty handy for getting rid of scale. Oh yeah, I have my hand wire brush right here, and I use this to clean off my anvil face all the time. You know, when scale starts to develop in the, you know, the plate break, I will stop and just like brush it off, you know, sweep off my anvil. It's like, you know, it's just my preference to use new stock, and because it's so easy for me to get new stock, you know, because I have a supply area, or, you know, a supply store so close to me, you know, it's just as easy for me to use new stock. But I mean, there are places where it's very hard to get new stock. So I mean, you know, whatever you have available, you know, better to forge than, you know, with rusty stock than not forge at all. It's like we're doing pretty well on ads. I may have already talked through one. All right. Oh, come on. All right. So, as per our design, we want two identical ones. So we want to make sure that the nubs are facing the same direction. And so we're going to start isolating that piece of metal on the end out. And so we've got a shelf forming right there, and I'm really happy with that. It's a little bit on the long side versus our first piece. And like I said, that's not a bad thing, because we will be able, when we go back and to shape that and to round that out, we will make that closer to the size that we want. So I'm pretty happy with what we've got going on there. Let me see if I can't use the last of the heat to kind of straighten this out just a little bit. We've got a little bit of a curve developing in there. Thankfully, you don't have to make a mirrored design. They don't have to be identical. Yeah, I mean, I specifically do not design my pieces so that I have to have any specifically exactly mirrored pieces. And I think that that's the beauty of hand forging, because, you know, it's like all of the differences, they create character in the piece, and that's what I like to see. That's kind of why I'm using, you know, hand forging, because if I really wanted to be, you know, exact and have a completely mirrored piece, instead of forging by hand, I would be machining my pieces. So, you know, using lathes and, like, you know, CNC cutters and, you know, things like that. So by allowing myself the ability to have variance in my pieces, it gives the identity and the character to the piece that I like to see in my work. So, yeah. I used to work at a jewelry store, and a lot more of my work had to be exactly mirrored, and I had to be much more precise with everything that I did, because the thing, or like when I repaired a piece of jewelry, when it came in, it had to match when it went out. So any extra work that I did, I had to make sure that the piece, when it left my shop, it looked exactly the same as as the catalog when it came into the shop. So I'm capable of doing a much more precision forging and much more precision work, but for this I'm a little bit less picky. I am very much looking forward to my new setup, so that I do not have to continuously move the camera all the time. So we're going to start bringing that thinning out back. So we're flattening out that piece. We really want that skinny horizontal rectangular profile that we're looking for. So we're bringing that all the way back. Alright, so we've got a nice shelf that's hooking onto the edge of that anvil. So I'm really happy with what we've got going on there. We need to kind of make that a lot thinner. It's like right now this is really, really thick. And so we've got a little ways to go thinning all of this out and flattening that out. So we'll do that over the next few heats. Seeing that it's handmade can be the best part, like bubbles in glass. Exactly. I mean, if you're looking for, that more machined look, you can buy, stuff at like your local box stores or like Pottery Barn. It's like that hand hammered texture and the little errors in the differential. That's kind of what gives the piece the value. I'm going to end up charging a lot more for a piece like this than you're going to be charged at your Pottery Barn, because it takes me a lot longer to hand forge the piece than it would, the manufacturers from whatever factory that the pieces were made from. So when someone comes to commission me, they're looking for that hand forged look. So I tend to lean into it to a certain extent. I want to make sure that even my hand forged variances, even though I have them, that the piece itself still looks professional and high quality. So it's kind of a line that you've got to, teeter on. You got to make sure that you walk that line of making something that someone wants to own, and making it, unique. So it is exciting. Mm. All right, let's see. So, I'm thinking that, like I said, I think this project will carry over onto Monday, and then Wednesday and Friday we will start on our scrolling tongs project, and I'm really looking forward to doing that. I have been trying to, get the nerve to do another set of scrolling tongs for quite a while now. The scrolling tongs were one of the first sets of tongs that I made, and that the set that it's kind of how I learned to make tongs. So like it's kind of your first time drawing. It's never looks amazing, and then as you continue in your artistic career, you kind of go back to those first projects and like redo them every so often to see how much you've like improved and how much you've learned. So I'm really looking forward to the Scroll Tongs project, and that is a viewer choice project, and that I'm very much looking forward to. I live on a very old farm, and most of the preserved ironwork here is functional to a point of looks crude. It does its job, but perhaps nothing you'd want to give away or sell. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of ironwork out there that, it had to be functional, but it didn't have to be beautiful. So it's kind of like in art school, my instructors were always talking about form versus function. So it's like, what is your goal? Is your goal form or is it function? So if it's your goal is form, then your piece has to look beautiful and aesthetically pleasing, but it doesn't have to do anything, right? But if function is your main goal, then it's kind of like it doesn't have to look pretty, it only has to function. So it's kind of like, where do you fit on that continuum, form versus function? So I like to be somewhere in the middle where my pieces are very functional, but they also are beautiful to look at. So I tend to fall pretty much in, somewhere in that, on that middle. I like, some of my pieces are a lot more beautiful than they are functional, and some of my pieces are more functional. Like when I make tongs, those are functional, they're not pretty. But, when I make furniture, I tend to try and make them much more beautiful to look at, as well as the function that I've designed them to do or to perform. So that is a very important distinction and something that you should always think about when you are designing a project. Form versus function. See if I can. What did I do? I did something. I accidentally flipped my camera. What is that noise? One exception here are door handles, and they are an interesting shape. AC of thin twisted bar with the mounting plates on the inside of the C. Yeah, there are so many beautiful hand blacksmith door handles out there. There are so many beautiful designs out there. I have a couple where, I've come up with the good designs and stuff like that. I no longer own them. They were, they were commissioned, so they are no longer with me. But I've got a few different designs that we do. But yeah, door handles and knobs for cupboards and stuff like that. Those are really basic blacksmith designs, and they can be absolutely gorgeous. There's so much you can do with handles. But yeah, I'm on Yankees Discord if you want to, send me a picture of some of the hand-forged work you've got on the farm. I would be really interested in seeing some of it. You can see some of my work on my Facebook. There's a lot of my furniture up there. I have a couple other designs. But yeah. Yeah, so I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, I am on YouTube. You can look me up, and the links are on the channel if you're interested in seeing more of what I do. It's just an unusual version, so I'm so used to the mounting plates to point outwards other than inwards to be pointing. Yeah, I would be really interested in seeing the design so that I can kind of visualize, your description. So yeah, I'm always looking for new blacksmithing projects. I do have another viewer's choice project that I am, I'm taking suggestions for. So if you guys want to see cupboard knobs, door knobs, locks, anything like that, simple blacksmith projects, we can do those. I'd like to keep them about 2 weeks worth of work, which would be about 12 hours maybe. So something semi-similar or simple, but it can be more elaborate than a leaf or something like that. One thing that I haven't done on the channel so far is I haven't done any twists. We could totally do some designs with handles, or C-shaped handles with twists in them. Those are always gorgeous. I love twisting. There are so many different kinds of twists out there that we could explore. We've got, fluted twists and pineapple twists and Rubik's Cube twists. The sky's the limit with twists. And we've got a ways to go. I'm pretty happy with how wide that area is right there. It can be a little bit skinnier, it looks like.
And we definitely need to bring that taper back a little bit further. It is way too thick on the x-axis, and we need a little bit more length. But we're going to get a lot of that length from this meat right here. So we really need to lengthen that out a lot. We've got a big fat area right there, lots of meat, and we can bring that outward. So we're getting there, slowly but surely. Bird feeder hanger, eh? Most of the interesting forge work I have here are solutions for odd choices. The chimney on local houses used to run along the outside of the wall and then hang sideways to the left and exit in the middle of the roof. The nails that held the wood beams that supported the hanging chimney are easily a foot long. Oh, wow. Yeah, that'd be like, I don't know, about yay long. Goodness, those are long nails. So yeah, I've seen a lot of solutions for chimneys out there. A lot of chimneys, I don't know what it is, but they would like build them and then they kind of, along the edge of the wall, and then they kind of like over time they start shifting and like falling outwards or sometimes inwards, depending on, the shifting ground around the house. And so making bands and like, hammering them into structure, I've seen some interesting solutions there. I'm not entirely sure that is building code approved, but, whatever works, I guess. Have you made any door knockers? I have not made any specific door knockers, but I have made pieces that are similar to door knockers. I made a couple torques, like necklaces, and they are very similar in shape, or the way that I made them are very similar in shape to door knockers. So it basically, instead of, because like I make them like U-shaped, and then they kind of hook around the shoulder, so they're U-shaped, and then they kind of like come around the neck and kind of like hang there. So instead of going around the shoulder, if I were to have bent those in, I could have fixed them to a knocker plate, and it would be a very simple modification to make a door knocker that way. I made those out of a reversed twist, and I was really happy with how those came out. So, I mean, we could definitely do a door knocker as a viewer choice project if you guys are interested in seeing that. What is the most technical thing that I have done? Are we limiting this question to blacksmithing, or are we talking about any metalworking? Because I'm not just a blacksmith. I have cast everything from aluminum to iron, bronze, silver. I've cast gold. I was a jeweler for a while. I have done fabrication. And I mean, the breadth of this, like, I tend to, like, I'm just drawn to metal in general. So I guess you'd have to be a little bit more specific. Blacksmith adjacent. Okay. So the most, I suppose my answer to that question would be swords, right? I don't normally do sharps.
But I wanted to make a sword to say that I made a sword. Sorry, my propane's starting to freeze up a little bit on me. So yeah, I took a truck spring, so like a shock spring for like a semi truck, and it's just a big giant spring coil. And I unrolled that and I turned it into a rapier. So making the sword and like blacksmithing that all out, and then doing all of the grinding and sanding, and then also doing the rapier cage, the handle. That's probably the most technically difficult blacksmithed piece that I have done. I have also done armor pieces, and those are relatively technical. Drawn to metal, so magnetic. I mean, I feel like I'm magnetic. I feel like every once in a while I'll get like, a piece of metal in my skin, and sometimes I feel like I'm magnetic. I've flown on planes several times, and or since they got the new like full body scanners, and I always set them out. I always set them off. It's very hard for me to get through security. Nice. Do I still have the rapier? I do still have the rapier. It is in my house, and if you guys are interested in seeing it, I believe there's a picture of it on my Facebook. Let me check. Real fast. Where is it? This. Now I need photos. So I have two photos, or I have two rapiers, and I only have one photo of it. Or I only have photos of one. So if you don't have Facebook, what do you have? I can post it on Yankee's Discord. There's a link to the picture on my Facebook page. I'm not sure if it'll... Oh, you think I need a Discord on my own? I'll look into making my own Discord. I have a couple that I run for my, gaming guilds, and I'm not amazingly good at upkeep on them. So I will do my best. I'll see about putting together a Discord. All right. So I have an ad starting soon. And so I am going to wait just I'm going to wait just a little bit to do the next heat so that the ads are finished. And then we'll do the next heat. I think we've got a few more heats left. I think I'm probably going to end the stream at about 2:30, or I mean, not 2:30, wow, at about 2.5 hours. So it'll probably be around 4 o'clock Central, so 5 Eastern. So I'll probably end the stream around then. So we've got a few more heats in. And yeah. Okay, you guys want a Discord. All right. Well, I will, like I said, I will see what I could do about maintaining a Discord. I wasn't really super excited about a Discord. But I'll see what I can do. I also have an Instagram. Right now I don't have a lot of pictures on it, but I will make sure that I add more pictures of some of my work to my Instagram as well. Yeah, I'm really, really bad at Discord. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really bad at it. So if I make a Discord, I will do my best, but it might end up dying. Looks good, though. The pieces were a little out of focus and not fully viewed. Yeah, I will get some better pictures of that sword. There, like I said, there are 2 rapiers. That's the first one I did. It's much worse looking. The other one is much better looking. So I'll post pictures of my rapiers on Instagram, and then I'll work on putting together a Discord, and then once I get that taken care of, I will post the pictures there. How's that sound? Let me know what you guys think. I can help with the Discord if you need. That would be amazing, Ping. Like I said, I am terrible at Discord. I have 2 Discords for my gaming needs, and like one of them has already died, and it's just like me and 5 friends, and we just play like Discord Dungeons and Dragons in it. And the other one, I've managed to keep it alive, but it's kind of a little bit slow. That's a nice anvil too. As I look at it, you got 2 step downs. Okay, yeah, I do have 2 step downs. My anvil is it is a Hey Button anvil. And the year that my anvil was produced, they had issues with their forge welding, the plates on top of the anvils. So it actually looks really nice, but it's a broken anvil. This section here, the highest section, that is the tool steel plates for this anvil. And then this section, the second step down, that is actually the wrought iron of the anvil itself, because the plate broke off. You can see when I show you the close-ups of the anvil, you can see some kind of like holes in the surface of that, and those are inclusions from the weld on the plate, and those they broke the weld, and so the plate came off. When I bought this anvil, I was still relatively new to blacksmithing, and I didn't know the difference. I still love this anvil. It still has quite a bit of bounce left in it, even without that tool steel plate. But if I were to go back in time and, buy another anvil, I may not have bought this anvil, if that makes sense. I've wanted a coleslaw anvil since forever. They have always been absurdly expensive, even here where they are made. I bought it off my master smith. That is always awesome when your master has old tools that they're willing to sell you or give you for, sometimes discounted prices. Yeah, this one I bought in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, for $2 a pound. So I paid $200 for it. Well, I guess a little less than $2 a pound. It's 127 pounds, and I paid $200 for it. So yeah, just under $2 a pound. But it was local to my area, and it's a nice anvil. Like I said, it still has lots of bounce on it, but it's not a whole anvil. It is still technically broken. But yeah, you can see the holes. There's like 4 little ones right here and a larger one right there. And these are the inclusions in that weld. So when the person who bought this the first time hammered, it cracked the weld in those sections, and that whole plate came right off. Kind of a shame, but what happens, happens, you know? Ooh, I need to work on my hammer control. I've got a couple dings in there where I let my hammer spin in my hand. We'll fix those right up. Yep. So I'm getting pretty happy. We're getting a lot more movement. We are almost got at the length that we need. So we're going to take a little bit more meat out of that center area, and that'll give us that extra distance that we're looking for. A little bit more meat there. And then we've got pretty good mirroring on those 2 nubs. So I do need to still round that out a little bit. But I'm really happy with the movement that we're getting here. Yeah. So we're getting really close to finishing out our second half. I think that I am going to assess how much time we have left, and we're going to debate whether we are going to start that scroll today or if we're going to wait until Monday, because I want to make sure that I have a good enough amount of time to complete the fabrication that we need to do for the 2 pieces. But I also need to be aware of how much propane pressure I have in my tanks. I've gotten so many like baby barbecue pigs that it's just more convenient for me to use barbecue pigs in a bigger tank. But the downside of using such small pigs is that they do freeze up, and they freeze up a lot faster in the cold. Have I forged on coal before? Yes, I have. I do have a coal forge, and I have forged on it. I've done a lot of stuff with coal forges. A lot of my reenactment I do, or like the demos that I do for reenactment, as well as a lot of the stuff that I did for the Boy Scouts. They have pre-built permanent forges in the areas that I was forging in, and those are coal forges. So I've done a lot of demos in coal. I also own a coal forge, but my coal forge is outside. So I have a carport that outside of this garage door, and my coal forge is out there because I don't have a way to get a flume in here. And so I do my coal forging outside so that I can, have all the ventilation I need to get rid of all of that coal smoke. So yes, we do have coal. There's 150 pounds on the floor right over here. I need to rebag it though, because the bags that they're in are getting pretty brittle. I was using them for a couple years as weight for, the back of my rear wheel drive truck when it was slick. And so they just kind of got a little bit brittle. It is a lot harder in the area now to get Bitmiss forging coal than it used to be. There used to be a place that I could get it about an hour out, but they stopped carrying it. So it's been a long time since I've used the coal forge, but I gotta find some place that'll sell me Bitmiss coal. All I have is a coal forge, and I have to forge in good weather. Yeah, that's like a big downside for me, at least in this shop with the coal forge. I don't have the ability to do it in the really cold, nasty weather. And today it's like 32 degrees and snowing, so it would not be a good day to use the coal forge. I like using them because it's a lot easier to get up to temperatures for forge welding. This guy does not have a very good oxygen to propane ratio, so I can't get up to forge welding temperatures in this guy. I do when I want to do forge welding on propane. I do have a miniature forge down there for knife making that I'll do when I'm trying to do it a good forge welded knife, like Damascus steel. I mean, you can forge weld on gas, just not this burner and this particular forge. I only have one burner, and this forge is big enough that it needs two. So if I wanted to forge weld with this particular forge, the amount of area, I would need two burners. And I just don't have two burners at the moment. I'm really trying to finesse this guy now. We've got most of the way that we want it to be, but we've got to get a little bit more length going, and we've got a little bit of extra meat closer towards that middle. We're trying to take out any curves and get those pieces real nice and similar. So we are very, very close. I'm very happy with that.
Alright, I'm going to take a little bit of the meat out of here to gain that extra little tiny couple millimeters that I need of length. There's a little bit of extra meat on that side, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up the opposite side so I can get at that meat a little bit easier. But yeah, charcoal is the best for forge welding, and it's the cleanest fuel compared to regular coal. Getting real close. I do envy your setup. I prefer charcoal to stone coal if I can get it, but it does burn out really quickly. Yeah. So you can definitely make charcoal forges work really, really well. I've told my partner if ever there were an apocalypse where we had to like zombies or a nuclear apocalypse or whatever, and we had to like leave the area, that I would bring 2 hammers and a good a little bit of steel, like a good set of tongs, so that I can take steel that we find along the road and use charcoal to forge, because you can make charcoal out of just any wood that you find, if you've got the right amount of oxygenation. So if you've got a nice fan, you can make just regular wood into charcoal, and then you can forge with it. At some point, I have to build a great bellows. Yeah, those are so much fun to play with. I went to a Boy Scout camp and the Boy Scout camp that I do all my demos at, their main forge has a giant bellows. It's like yay big long, and it's huge. It's like this thick. And so when I do my demos, the boys like to come up and use the bellows for me. So they will make sure that the bellows, gives me the amount of air that I need to get, my metal hot. They love it. It's such a blast for them. It's their favorite part of my demos, because I just, the kids, I let them use the bellows. It's so much fun. Near Umeå, so fairly far north. Where in Sweden do you affect? Okay. So you live in Sweden. Wow. That is a long way away from here. I live in central United States. Right out, or like I live within driving distance of, within like an hour of St. Louis, Missouri. So, yeah. Yep, most old smithies here had bellows like that, with built-up wooden sides. Yeah, they're so much fun to work with, but they can be absolutely exhausting if you are, both the smith and the person who is using the bellows. A lot of the old-time smiths would have their apprentice use the bellows for them, so it would save them a lot of effort and stamina, so because they didn't have to use the bellows themselves. So yeah. Do you have a proper workshop?
I have a semi-proper workshop. Yeah, sometimes it's really hard to get a proper workshop going. I know that I have a really elaborate workshop, but I've spent the last 15 years acquiring pieces here and there, only spending a couple $100s at any given time. So over the last 15 years, I've acquired quite a bit of equipment. But I mean, you don't need a lot to really start forging, you know? Like I said, if I need to bring a bug out forging bag, I'm gonna take 2 hammers, a set of tongs, and like maybe a couple pieces of steel, and that's it. That's really all you need. Because I mean, really, you just need a piece of metal to hit on top of like like even if it's just like a sledgehammer head, a hammer to actually hit the steel with, and you know, something to heat the steel with, and that's really all you need. Dragon is a boat ride away from Vasa, but I live in Hysinka. Wow. Can I cast and swage bullets? If I had the molds for them, I could. However, I don't have the molds for bullets. But the ones that I would be able to make would be like more like musket bullets. I mean, not the ones that our modern guns fire, because I mean, those you kind of have to machine out and, you know, put the gunpowder in them and everything. But like the old musket balls, we could do those, stuff like that. I don't have any like molds for them, but I do know people who have molds for them, and they do them for their, you know, for demo purposes. They don't shoot them. Please don't make bullets and then shoot them, because, you know, if you are not a professional, like, you know, be safe. Also been way down. Yeah. Sweden is a long way away. I have family from Sweden. It would be so cool to go and visit. And we're kind of finessing this piece a little bit just to make them all similar and in common. And I'm really starting to see very similar widths in here. I'm really, really happy with this view. So if I turn them over, it looks like they're still relatively similar. I'm pretty happy with that. I think I need to flip this piece over and round out that little nub, and I think we're about done with this piece for the moment. So, since we're going to be ending the stream here shortly, is there anybody online that is streaming that you guys would like to go visit and raid?
Yeah, so if there's anybody online that you guys would like to raid, I am open to suggestions. I know Johnson was streaming earlier, but I'm not sure if he's done. Lone Mountain Knife Co. is the only maker and crafter one. Let's see what he's doing. Okay, if you guys want to raid him, that is, we can do that. I'd like to get one more heat in, and then I will be ready. I just want to make sure that we get that rounded nub in there, and then we'll be ready to end the stream. So we can raid Lone Mountain. Ray Smithy has a great stream, but that's you. Yeah, that is me. Yeah, thank you all for joining us today. Whether you joined through Yankees Raid or whether you came to us through other means, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate all of your, time and interest. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2:30 Eastern time, Eastern U.S. time. And I'm always excited to see you guys. Always excited to blacksmith for you guys. Not wood 85. Thank you so much for the follow. I think I missed that follow. It says 20 minutes ago. Wow. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. I've got one more heat and then we will raid Lone Mountain Knife Company. So thank you all for joining me. Every face is usable on an anvil. Alrighty, and I'm pretty happy with that. Very, very happy with that. Excellent, and we are definitely set up so that we can finish fabricating the rest of this piece on Monday. So hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
around the house on it.